All right, let's get started. Let's see. Last week I was on vacation. I got some reviews done earlier this week, and Shuaihan, sorry, I'm gonna put together a version of that branch with the refactor we were talking about. Didn't have a chance to get to it today, but I'll get to it tomorrow. And I think
Okay.
I owe you a review on the stats thing.
Okay. That's okay.
All right, Chenmei, how's it going?
Uh, I have Redux fix some interruptible feature that he meet in his test environment, and that is the background recovery. And he has already tested, and no bug found. It means the problem is solved. So the patch is merged. And when I do the totality testing, still has problem, and the OSD, when the OSD start up, the heartbeat reported the the IP address doesn't match, so they got the loopback interface address one
Hmm.
hundred 27.00.0.0.1, and the peer report is that address, and his local address is 0000. So I still compare the classic Ceph messenger and the Crimson messenger, try to figure out what's the difference. No result currently. Yeah, that's all.
But it works correctly with normal, without SeaStore, right?
Normal.
Sorry, does that test work correctly with BlueStore?
You mean the classic Ceph?
No. This Teuthology heartbeat problem.
Oh, I didn't test the BlueStar, but I think it's not the SeaStar issue, right? It's the
I agree. But
it's the
last, oh, go ahead.
it's re, it's report in the Crimson messenger.
Yeah, I think you're right. Um, I'm asking because I think that test used to pass, so it might be a regression. Have you mentioned it to Radek?
Pardon? You mean somebody has already tested with BlueStar?
Um, I'm saying I think the test you're running should have worked with BlueStore in the past because Radek added it to the suite. So I'm asking, have you asked Radek about this bug?
Not
It
yet.
could be
So yeah, I will
it
ask
could be a
Redek.
regression, is what I'm saying. A recent one.
Okay, okay, I will ask Redek if he meet this problem.
Cool.
That's all.
Please also include me in the discussion so I can also take a look.
Sure.
Yeah, me too if it's convenient.
Okay.
Latan, how's it going?
Hey, it's going well for me. I'm now working on writing, expanding the Crimson Messenger unit test, trying to inject network delays and failures, just like the regular OSD, with
Very
different
cool.
policies. And now trying to write the unit test. That's it.
That's really cool.
Thanks.
Really valuable. Srinivasa?
Hey, Sam. Uh, as mentioned, it's like to check out the source code from the Git, and then I tried with that also facing issues on the Ceph ADM. So I updated those details in the bug Sam.
Okay, one sec. All right, I'll
So just
look at that in just a moment.
I'm sharing the bug.
Cool. Let's see. Well, that's what I'm saying. Those instructions don't have anything to do with Ceph ADM. These
Oh,
shouldn't work
pardon.
from a Ceph ADM cluster. These are unrelated.
Oh, okay. So how can I proceed? It's like as of now, the version, whatever I mentioned, 17.0.0, blah, 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 is
Sure.
there, right? That
I don't
version
think
is there.
Ceph ADM has been extended to use Crimson yet at all. That's work that still needs to be done.
Oh,
It
okay.
may work with Rook. You might want to ping Radek and see if he has instructions for that.
Okay.
And there are instructions there for using CBT, but
Okay.
that's only
Okay.
really useful for performance tests.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry, I think you may be blocked on us getting Ceph ADM support working.
Yeah. I'll check with Reddit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Joyhan, how's it going?
Last week I was mainly working on the two crash issues that I met during when evaluating the spread LFS strategy on SeaStore. I've submitted PRs for them separately. Right now, I'm working on correcting the segment utilization calculation for spread LFS strategy evaluating. That's all. Thanks.
Cool. Yingjin, what's up?
Last week I did a couple of performance analysis to understand the Rados bench and the RBD FIO behaviors. And the result is here. So let me explain it a little bit. So what I found with RBD FIO is that during the test, the low node tree depths cannot be increased because we only have a limited size of the image. So we only have the limited numbers of O node. So we can't actually increase the O node numbers and the depth so that the transaction conflicts will be a problem. So that is why I think that if we want to evaluate the performance or test the performance, we should switch to at least to Rados bench, because from the graph, the Rados bench will have a considerable node insert and delete operations, which is some levels more than the RBD FIO tests. So that's my current understanding.
The trouble is that Rados bench doesn't do random I/O. It only creates objects.
Yeah.
I have this observation. What if we added a config that forced the top level of the node tree to be split a certain number of ways?
What do you mean?
So the problem is that we're not creating enough O nodes to force enough splits in the O node B tree to allow the O nodes themselves to be in different nodes.
Yeah.
So what if we artificially partition the O node space at the top level?
Yeah, I think that could be a solution, maybe to add empty spaces between different PGs to make them in different leagues for different PGs.
Yeah. The factor here, though, that we're interested isn't so much the number of PGs, it's the number of concurrent transactions we're likely to see.
Yeah.
Because different PGs won't submit. Yeah. So we could do something like force the the root node to have a minimum of a certain number of children. They would be smaller than the B tree constraints say they should be, but that's okay.
But I think it's not that will not become a real problem because there will be
no, it
many
won't.
users
It's
of
merely a
many
complexity
images.
problem.
Yeah, it's only so
Got it.
yeah.
It just makes the code slightly harder to read. That's all. It's not a correctness problem. So yeah, that's one strategy. The other strategy is when we do want to do random IO tests, we just also run a Rados bench to create, I don't know, 8,000 objects or something, and then run Rados bench on top of that. That would work too.
Yeah, I think that's a correct.
The only catch is we have to make them in the same pool as the RBD image. That's the hard part. If you make them in a different pool, the Rados bench objects will sort together. So the RBD objects will still end up in the same node.
Yeah.
But that would work too. We could just adjust one of those performance testing scripts, the RBD FIO performance testing script, to just preemptively dump a bunch of objects into it. That seems like a good solution, actually. Does that seem good?
Yeah. So the next thing, the journal header merging. I think I have completed this feature, and from the analysis, it has reduced 70% of writes to reduce the 7% padding sizes. So the padding is decreased by 70%. And so currently, I also did some analysis to understand the current main issues. First is it is also in that PR. So I think there are one of the major issues is that the cleaning overhead is significant, like 4 times of the write.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Of the object write. And another issue is the read overhead is much larger than the write because we haven't implemented ARE.
I just posted a branch that has an LRU. I haven't had time to test it much, or more importantly, figure out whether it actually does the job performance-wise. But if you're interested in having a look at that, that might be a good starting point.
Sure, I will take a look. And
oh, go ahead.
Analysis also points out the current workload is CPU bounded, maybe not IO bounded, because vector utilization is 100%. So it may be very beneficial if we can start to optimize the less performant logics to increase the efficiency.
Yeah. Have you had any luck profiling Crimson generally?
Yeah, we have started to use VTune to analysis, but find some issues, but not yet started to work on it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Once you figure out how to do that, it might be good to drop a document into docdev Crimson explaining how to do profiling. Because I think you're right. We're at a place where CPU overhead is our next place, and there's a lot of low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
So evaluating which things are the right things to do first, I think, will be important.
And the third thing here is, if you remember, the stress tool is keeping updated by Xinyu in our team. And because we are doing performance comparison between BlueStore and SeaStore by limiting the BlueStore to use a single CPU to compare to understand where we are currently with the SeaStore development. And the final report is not done yet, but I think the result is very promising. Even now, the Crimson read cache is not yet implemented, and it is causing the Crimson OSD to have more than 100 times more device read than the classical OSD. But even that, the Rados bench result is still competitive between the BlueStore and SeaStore. I think that's a good news.
100 times more? That
yeah,
doesn't sound
because
right.
there's no read cache.
Oh, I understand now. Even with 100 times more reads, we're still performing well. Okay. I see. I thought you meant we were going 100 times faster. Like, happy, but skeptical. Okay, cool. That makes sense. All right, that's exciting. I lost my train of thought. Okay. Is there anything else? Did I miss anyone? All right, have a good week.
Bye bye. Good week.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.